This episode of The Final Forecast is brought to you in part by the Book Exchange, where Mountaineers go since 1934. Check out their 2 locations, downtown Morgantown and Evansdale, or online bookexchangewv.com.
Recorded live in Morgantown and across the world with your hosts, Kevin Jones, Deshaun Butler, John Flowers, our lovely co-host Ashley. This is the Final Forecast with special guest, head coach of the WVU men's basketball team, mustard-colored suit fashion icon, face screamer, natural healer, fortune teller, future Hall of Famer, and man who had to put up with these guys too long, Coach Bob Huggins.
Yo, it's your boy Jay Flo, and this is another episode of the Final Forecast. I'm your host, one of your hosts, along with
Kevin Jones,
Deshaun Butler,
and our lovely co-host Ash.
That's me.
And we have a very, very special guest with us today.
Oh, yeah.
We always say special guest, but this is...
We actually mean it this time. No disrespect to anybody else that we had in the show, but you guys aren't shit. It's like,
somebody who matters.
Sorry.
We have the man himself, Coach Huggy Bear.
We there.
Clap it up.
Nice.
Insert claps
The
there.
applause and that, yeah, that would have been.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you look good, man.
I'm doing good. Yeah. Summertime.
Getting ready for Spain?
Tomorrow morning.
Ready to go?
Ready as I'll be, I guess.
Yeah.
How's the team looking?
I like them. Dave.
I would hope so.
That's a great start, actually.
Well, I mean, there wasn't. I couldn't say that every year. But I liked everybody. but I could tolerate everybody. No, they're doing good, man. They like each other. They play together. They're playing hard. They're trying to learn. As you guys know, there's a lot of stuff to learn. There's a lot more elements of the game that you got to know what you're doing than what anybody realizes that had really never played at a high level. But they're good. I mean, we can make some shots and pass the ball a little better. Could Deshaun pass? I never saw him try. I didn't know
Me neither. That makes 2 of us.
He could pass, but he didn't.
Okay. I wasn't sure which one it was.
Average 3 assists.
3?
As a senior.
I think you led it. I mean, our offense was designed to,
Also, thank the offense for
help the guys
for me getting
that didn't pass the ball.
John, that's why we moved him to point guard. We figured he'd have to make a pass or two from
He
there.
did, yeah. He did play point
Tired
guard.
bringing that
For a
shit
little
up.
He did.
Exhausted.
Did,
That shit out my hands.
did you watch the TBT games?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I thought I thought the officiating wasn't very good. I thought KJ and Devin got fouled.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, I mean,
Man,
I didn't think it was very consistent from what they called one end to the other.
Yeah. So you probably would have got ejected from that game.
I probably would have tried. It's getting harder for me to do it. You know, then they have to file a report and all that stuff. So they don't want to do that. They want to get out of there.
The last time you got ejected, what was that? 2010, after the UConn game, and
That
then
was during the game. What's when they came in the huddle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was after that. We went on to go to a Final Four and win the biggest championship. So you never know.
See,
Might be a working method.
You want to just keep doing that, though. That's
probably a good lesson.
Yeah, you don't want the trend to keep
That's
going.
probably a good lesson for them young guys you had coaching. I mean, I'm surprised Billy didn't think of that.
I mean,
Coach Hahn is just a different story now.
he's funny. Good guy.
I can't imagine.
I see he's still got the same seat.
Yep. Would refuse to give it up.
You're right.
You're sitting in the other team's bench.
That's as fast as I've seen Billy moving along time. Break the huddle. He sprints to that chair now. He's so afraid he's going to lose it.
Did you see the video of him asking if he wanted to play the 1-3-1?
Hey, let's pound him in the paint. Let's get the ball in the paint.
Hey! You want to play 1-3-1 a couple percent? I'm asking. All right.
Oh, yeah. And the whole I don't know. You guys listen to the telecast? The whole telecast, they're talking about stories that Billy told them.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Good stories, though.
No,
Nah, I was gonna
not really.
Things you've heard before, probably.
I didn't find them very riveting, but they were trying to fill time, I
Yeah,
guess.
of course. They had nothing else to do.
You had a camp yesterday, and kids say the darndest things. A kid asked you, how many times have you been ejected from the game?
He asked me the same thing.
Well, that's a good question. I wasn't in there for that. Someone said.
My first year, John, as a head coach, 17 times. I remember that.
How does that happen?
They were out to get me.
You played.
Wait.
How many games in a season, Dave? It's like 30 games.
We played.
17 different times, Coach.
I think we played 30. I think we played 33, and I got kicked out of 17 of them.
That's more than half. What?
Get kicked out of 52%
The man is
of the
50%.
games.
He's 50. Yeah, that's
Great
true.
numbers.
Great numbers.
Don't even. You gotta respect the great numbers behind that.
Some guy pulled in a gas station right down from the school, and my power forward was getting gas, and he was telling that was back when he had attendance and stuff, you know. He was telling the attendant how he was going to throw me out in the first half. So,
Oh wow.
So they were out to get me.
Oh wow. So they was really out to get you. I thought you were just playing around.
No, they were
Oh
out.
no,
to
it's
get
So
real.
even if you just sat there the whole game, they still was going to throw you out? Come on, it's something you did. You're not just throwing them.
Well, they know he wasn't gonna sit
You don't
down the
feel-
whole game.
but
Like he wasn't.
if you feel like if referees are out to get you, make it a good one at least.
I think
It's like, I'd rather make it a good one though. I'm not gonna just sit there passively.
I think the rule was you had to sit. I think that's how I got most of them.
Oh, just
Really?
got up.
Yeah.
Coaches have to sit down the whole game?
That's stupid.
That doesn't make sense.
Thank God they changed that.
How would you say that like coaching kids have changed since you first started coaching until now? Like, what's the change do you see in the difference in like kids throughout the different generations? Like how you have to coach them and to get the best out of them.
That's a good question.
I don't think I coach them all that much different. I mean, I think as you get older, you get a little more mellow, you know.
Get softer.
But I don't think we've changed a whole bunch.
That's what all your guys that come back and watch you coach, they say you get softer.
Yeah, I mean, I had my starting center from Akron came back a couple years ago, and that's what he said, and all the Cincinnati guys say the same thing. You guys know E. Hicks. I mean, Hicks calls me and just wears me out about being soft all the time.
Why do they want you to yell at these kids? I don't understand it. Who came back when we were playing?
Oh my God.
And just wanted us to get yelled at the whole time.
If they went through it, you should have to go through it too. That's what they're thinking.
You did this to me.
You yelled at me. You can yell at them too.
On that treadmill, say something.
Do you feel like you've gotten softer, so to speak? Do you think so?
Yeah, to a degree.
Think it's something you had to do, or is more like you kind of understanding with like older ages, like how to talk to people differently, or what do you think?
KJ, when I started, we went 4 hours.
Yeah.
We went 4.
Yikes.
His knees.
And I didn't know any better. And then when I went to Akron, we did 2 up in the bays. We did a bunch of footwork stuff, and they hadn't lifted or done anything. So we were up there for 2 and then came down on the floor for 3. You guys I tricked. I mean, you guys thought you went 3. You really didn't. I mean, when you think about it, we went in and watched film. You know, we had a half an hour shooting. So you really, the practice part of it was really 2 or a little bit less than 2. And really the running up and down part of it wasn't but maybe 40 minutes at the most.
Depending on how you was feeling. And you got to calculate it in the treadmill.
Well, it depends on whether you listened or ran your mouth.
And we also have
in your case, for sure.
We also have to calculate if it's a holiday, because you guys like to. It's closed.
No, it's just I think guys think holidays are like days off and they didn't practice, but that's been since I started. I mean, those guys at Cincinnati will tell you, and it's the truth. I mean, I had to call June several times to tell her to turn the turkey down because they always came to my house to eat, and
Still in here.
We're getting better.
We'd reboot it several times.
We had a couple of those reboot practices when you were town. Coach Harrison, good guy, friends of the show. Question, like to what Kevin was kind of getting at. He asked if you had got do you feel that you've gotten softer over time? Do you feel more or less? What about the players? Do you feel like the way you approach the players, because like times are different? You figure the kids. I kind of feel like the kids are easily like on their phones or on their computers, and you know what I mean. They're we have a good guy here. How you doing, sir?
All right.
Good talk. And, but you know what I'm saying? Like, do you?
Who's that?
Who was that, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Really?
We just had a man accost us just now. A man just walked in and accosted us. But
Uncle Bernie just walked in.
but do you think like the kids, like, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, they don't really do much as far as like they're really they're not face to face people like younger. Like a long time ago, people were like outside all the time. They're doing things like they're good. You can yell at them and be tough on them. They're used to that. But now the kids are like, a little bit. They don't take that as well. Would you say that or no?
Well, here's what I think, and this isn't a knock on AAU, but you guys, I mean, you played some AAU, but you also played on the playground, and on the playground, it's winter. Go sit over there in the sun or the bugs or whatever else is going on around the court, and particularly as you're growing up, it's hard to get back on. It's hard to get picked again when you lose. The AAU thing, I mean, and you guys kind of experienced both of it, but to me, I mean, you go play an 11 o'clock game, you lose, and they buy you pizza. And then you go play at 2 and you lose, and they take you to Burger King and get you a couple Whoppers. And then you go lose again at night, and they take you out to some all-you-can-eat joint. And it's a whole lot different, man. You lose at the playground, you can't get back in, you walk home.
True.
I just think the whole culture has changed, and then I think the other thing, probably more importantly, is we're so into individual rights that we forget about the whole. There's all this stuff going on that they don't worry about the guys that are left. They worry about, well, if this guy's unhappy, let him go somewhere else. Well, what about leaving his teammates?
Okay. What kind of message is that send?
Yeah, and I mean, and particularly when they bail out late, when there's not a whole lot of guys left, and now all of a sudden, I think the same way with the draft. I think it's way too late. I mean, they got all year to evaluate guys.
Yeah.
And then they got the combine, and I think after the combine, I mean, we ought to move on. Yeah. They've already saw them, evaluated them. This stuff to let it go as long as they let it go, and maybe it's a little bit better for those guys, but it's way worse for the guys that are left. Yeah. And for most schools, I mean, you take the blue bloods, and they're going to reload it, but the schools that are fighting to stay there, where they can compete, they lose, a pro or two, and they can't replace them. Yeah. They're done.
So what I know we kind of talked about it on the show before, but what do you think about kids being able to come back, say if they don't get drafted, to come back to the school that they didn't get drafted from, and like, let's just say they were a junior and they went out for their draft, they didn't get drafted, to come back for like their senior year? Do you think that would be something that might help, or do you think once you're gone, like you're gone? And
you talking about testing the water?
Yeah, like no. I'm talking about like full on going in the draft, and then after that, because I think we talked about that in one of our earlier episodes. So how do you feel about that? Do you think a kid should be able to come back, or you think that once he made that decision, that's on him, whatever happens?
Well, there's only 60 guys going to get drafted. I mean, let's face the facts. There's 60 guys getting drafted, and I was sitting in a prep school one time, and I'm talking to the coach, and he had ESPN on. He looked, he said, "What the?" He said, "What is that idiot doing?" And he said, "That guy didn't even start on his college team. He sucked." And he put his name in the draft, And so he called him right there in front of me. He said, "What are you doing, man?" The kid said, "Coach, how else am I going to get my name on ESPN?" I mean,
Wow.
the only way I get my name on ESPN.
Doing it for the
You know, and guys are smarter than what I think we give them credit for. But, KJ, I think the draft thing is the same thing. I mean, okay, that's great, but what about the guys that are left? I mean, what if you hold a scholarship for them, then you end up maybe some days having to manage your practice. If you don't hold a scholarship for them and now they want to come back, now you're in a bind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So, I mean, I think the longer it goes, the more it hurts the guys that are still at the school. And I think it's wrong that we bend over so far for one guy at probably the demise of 12 guys.
You told me in private that I should have left my sophomore year.
No, I
Left the
you don't
school?
want to
Or
know
just-
that.
Glad you said that in private. Nobody else heard that.
Because I would have told you to leave too. Get out.
Actually, as I remember, John, I told you I was going to kick your ass out your freshman year.
I remember that actually.
Hugs wanted to kick me off for stupid stuff like Twitter and missing class and stuff like
Stupid
that.
things.
It's stupid.
Man graduated.
What are we
stupid.
doing? What are we doing?
Listeners, our friends at the Book Exchange want you to look your best at the upcoming football and basketball seasons. You can get 25% off the largest selection of WVU apparel and souvenirs at the BX with promo code BX4 Final 4. That code again is BX4 FINAL 4. You can use this code at either store in Morgantown or online at bookexchangewv.com. The entire family can look the best with thousands of name brand styles for men, women, and those mini mountaineers.
Now, you watched the TBT, right?
Yeah.
How you like the jump shot now? It's a lot better.
I was really impressed.
Yeah?
No, honestly, God, I've been telling people I can't believe how much better you've gotten.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You should call your friend Jerry West down there at
Down there?
over there.
Down there in California?
What,
I don't know, John. There's degrees. You know,
this is what?
there's degrees.
Gotcha. Understood. I'm not at that level. That's
You know, it's like I got better.
how the hug still hurting
degrees.
feelings in 2019.
Having a conversation.
John, I'm telling you, from your freshman year to your senior year. I mean, your senior year, he did. He made plays to win games.
Now, was I allowed to
turned
make
us.
more plays, or was that just a?
Well, he stole the ball in a press, stole the ball, turned around and shot a three. Didn't dribble it, didn't even think about looking under the basket. Just got it. I mean, I would think that's a green light there.
That's about as
I
green
think
light
that's
as you
about as
gonna
green
get.
as you're going to get these
Yeah,
days.
that's about
Now,
as
as
green
far
you
as
can get.
recruiting, what do you have against guys that live in cul-de-sacs and circle driveways and
You talking about your background?
stuff like that? I just want to know.
I kind of like guys that kind of grew up tough.
Grew up tough.
Grew up tough. Yeah, I mean, if you live in a cul-de-sac, I mean, who you gonna fight?
I
Some
mean,
guy playing a violin?
you don't necessarily have to fight to be tough. You know what I mean?
Well, but you got to grow up, get bounced around a little bit. So, you're going to go to the court and you're going to have the symphony, four guys from the symphony playing, with you, against you. I mean, it's a different culture. I mean, it really is a different culture. And I just have always had guys that, for whatever reason, I don't know how it started, but guys that kind of were, how do you say that, they were low income guys. They lived in low income families, and they had to fight for everything that they got.
So you think those guys are more hungry than?
They seem to be.
Yeah.
Not always. I mean, not always, but I think by and large, yeah, I think they are. It's their opportunity. I mean, John, I think you there's a difference when you go to high school knowing that you have a family scholarship, or they put money in a whatever it's called, an annuity or whatever for you. Yeah, and I had 7 kids in my family, and my dad said, you boys better get a scholarship because I'm not giving you a dime, and you think back then he's trying to motivate you. he told the truth.
Yeah.
He never gave.
I'm literally not going to give you anything when you become a man.
I disagree, like, to the point, because think of some of the guys that came here that grew up in, you know, had better families, like Wellington Smith, Nate Adrian, myself. And those turned out to be some of the hardest workers that you had.
Well, I said it's not. I mean, it's not everybody, but I think by and large, that's not the case. You don't find as many players coming out of guys with circular drives and as you do with, you know.
But don't you think they all have the same, like, goal as in, like, making it to the next level?
Some of them.
So they're gonna have
some of them, not all of them.
Some of them are like privileged. And
I think there's a difference in having a goal and wanting to do it, and having a goal and needing to do it.
Exactly. That was what I was kind of thinking. His point was more or less, like, if you have numerous opportunities in life, maybe you don't. One of them is not like as important to you, but if you have this one opportunity and you actually care about it, maybe it might, you might take it a little bit more serious. But I've also seen people that have grown up pretty well. They have the facilities and the things like,
private coaches.
Yeah, and they have enough money to do those things, and they get all those things, and they've done well as well, and they've been great basketball pros as well. So it's like you can see both sides of the.
Well, I think if you took the NBA though, and you did a poll of guys that grew up in wealthy neighborhoods as compared to people who grew up in low-income housing, I think it would tilt quite favorably to the low-income people, because they don't. I think they said it best. They don't have choice.
Yeah. I never understood the thing where people who come from like good family backgrounds or who come from good neighborhoods wanting to be like hood or something like that, or come from the hood, because it's like people from the hood don't want to be in the hood. Like people from the hood want to be where they are. Like, you know what I mean? I never got that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a part of the tough mind, and like I don't know. You got to be tough to be from the hood or something like that, because I never got that.
One thing which you don't have, everybody.
Yeah. That is true. Like, no matter what side of the fence you're on.
It's just like, girls. Well, it's like girls like a dude that's tough. They want bad guys, and good girls want bad guys. Bad girls want good. Like it's all this.
You can come from low income housing and have a great family. I mean, I think there are a lot of families that they're great families. Probably you don't have the parents there as much, because in a lot of cases they're working two jobs. I think what a lot of parents sacrifice for their kids is absolutely remarkable. I think when you see, your mother, your father, working two jobs so that you can have it better. And that's really America when you stop and think about it. I mean, people came over, they didn't have anything, and they worked like crazy so that their kids could have a little better, and then they worked like crazy so that their kids could have it better. And the reality is, why are we in the state that we're in economically? To a large degree, it's because people are living a lot longer. And those people were in jobs that just didn't, the jobs didn't help their health, So when you look at what the retirement age was and what the retirement age continues to go up, and the health benefits, I mean, you think about somebody living to their 60 as opposed to somebody living until they're 85, 90, and how much more that costs the companies. I mean, it's a great thing on one hand, and on the other hand, it's a troubling thing economically.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's interesting that John also thought that his family was better than our family, Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
You heard that. He put his family up in the upper echelon compared to my mom and my dad, your parents.
But this is the first time I've ever heard him do that, because he he spent 4 years trying to convince me he was a hood dude.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
he still does that.
We all knew better than that. We all knew better than that.
for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, nobody ever mistaked him.
I'm
for
from
that.
the hood.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody ever
From the
mistaked
hood.
Waldorf for the hood.
He was. You should have seen where I lived before.
Yeah, he didn't see it. He saw like the come up when we moved to the big
okay.
house with the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I know. It's a nice place you got there, man.
That is.
But I think I was more hungry than, you know what I'm saying, anybody. I was in the backyard every day. You know what I'm saying? So I
Interesting. Backyard.
In the
every day.
You had a
backyard.
yard?
You had a backyard.
He had a yard.
That's nice.
Congratulations,
Must be
man.
You know it's
Where's
not
there-
nice because you know what you got to do in the backyard.
What?
You got to mow that motherfucker. You got to mow it.
Oh,
you got to
man.
Wait, you had grass
cut the
too?
grass.
Oh,
Yeah.
this man's living good.
See, so that's up,
Rich kid
Hugs.
problems.
Oh,
They didn't
Rich
have
kid
to.
problems.
They didn't have to do yard work.
Must
They don't
suck,
know how
John.
to.
Must suck.
They don't know how to do that stuff.
Life's tough.
Like,
Grass in the backyard.
And then you used to go down and shovel that full court, didn't you? So you could get shots up in the
Winter
winter.
time, you got to shovel the court.
Full court.
The
in
full
the
court.
backyard.
Can't play them unless you shovel and you out there shooting barefoot.
Oh, now you don't have shoes. But you got a big house and a backyard. No
with
shoes.
no shoes.
Shout out to Waldorf, man.
Uh-huh.
This is the hood, man. I'm trying to. Hug stopped at the gas station. Everybody called me like, "Yo, is this your man's? Cause is he
Yep.
good?" I'm like,
Which
"Yo,
gas station,
give him a
John?
pass. He's good. He's good."
There's 25 of them in the community.
What's the roughest neighborhood you been in?
Mount Vernon for sure.
Oh man, I don't know. New York or Chicago probably. Nah, Miami in some rough places in Miami.
You go regardless. You go in those neighborhoods.
It used to be like everybody wore a suit in, because if you wore a suit in, you were one of two things: you're either a cop
Yeah, exactly.
or you were a coach. Only white people went in there had a suit on, where they were a cop or a coach, and then that kind of started to go away a little bit. But if they know you're a coach, because they look up to those guys in the neighborhood that are, you know, the star athletes, and they want for the most part, they want good for them.
Yeah, for sure. Hugs got a hood pass though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel
most
like wherever
definitely.
you go, you good. Like between your teams at Cincinnati, and I know just between like our Final Four team and everything, like everybody in Mount Vernon like loves you. Like all the guys I know from the hood, like, yo, Coach Hugs is like, you got a.
You
I
got
feel like
some-
he got a hood pass for
Seriously,
sure.
though. You want something interesting? Like when James Long got the West Virginia Tech job, and it came across like I posted it, and all my friends from back home was like, "What the fuck? What is West Virginia doing? Fucking firing her?" I was like, "No, it's West
See,
Virginia
that-
Tech." It's like, oh, I was like, "Wow, they still
People
like
love Hugs. Yeah,
Like, I haven't played here in 10 years. They're still like, they're sitting there like, what the fuck are they doing?
He got
That's a different school entirely.
he got the hood pass because him and Coach Hahn look like good fellas. Son be
Mean
walking
man.
in with that suit. Them,
Man.
yeah, the mafia. They don't.
Coach Hahn
That's
definitely
what the
has
mafia.
his connection.
Coach Hahn had the
Indiana.
slick
He has
back.
his connections.
You know, in early 90s, I guess, mid 90s, I got offered an NBA job for a lot of money, and I walked in the office on Saturday or Sunday, I forget what it was. We had camp going on, and 4 of my guys were sitting there, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know what to do." And it was a multi-million-dollar deal to go to the NBA, and I was making $400,000, which is a lot of money, but it's compared to $6 million, it's not much money. And I'm sitting there, and Van Exel was one of them, and we're talking, and so Nick says, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Man, honestly, I don't know what to do, you know." And he said, "Well, let me ask you this: if guys like you don't stay in college and coach guys like us, what happens to us?" And I'm like, "Well, you know what, Nick? You just signed for the max."
Shut up, Nick. Don't give me that
trying to hear you
bullshit.
You just signed
Give me
for the
$6 million
max.
now. Give me $6
You know,
million.
I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about it, and and I called my wife and said, "I got to stay." And that's everybody says, "Why'd you stay at Cincinnati so long?" That's why.
June made you stay.
No, it's always been the players. I mean, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is leave Kansas State. I mean, because I had guys that are there because of me. You know, and it was hard, but this is my last chance. You know, this was my last chance to come home. So
That's dope.
That's awesome because you really left the number 1 pick of the draft over there. That's a huge.
Yeah, a lot of days I went out and coached you. I thought about that.
I know, me too. I was like, why didn't you bring that motherfucker?
I could have been the number 1 pick right now.
I heard this guy's a great recruiter. Why didn't he bring his ass in?
So you had O.J. Mayo, Beasley, Will Thomas,
The Jots,
Walker,
Yeah.
DeJuan Butler.
and DeJuan Blair.
We would have if I was here. I really think we would have got those guys. DJ, I think we would have got those
Kennedy,
guys.
Kennedy.
DeJuan Blair, all of them. They all put in the same age team.
So Will Thomas was in that deal.
No, you wouldn't have been here though.
No, I'm not talking
Well,
about. I'm talking about
I'm
Kansas.
just trying to let you know what would happen.
You know,
I would have snuck here. I would have just made it still. Like,
I never really saw Will play because if you remember, he broke his leg. He broke his leg, and everybody in Cleveland. I don't think Will ever came back from a broken leg. To be honest with you.
So
the Will Thomas front.
Shout to Will,
Thomas.
my
Friend of the
bro.
show.
For sure.
Every time Will got in trouble, I got in trouble. I had nothing to do with what Will was doing. But
It's a,
And
by
Will was
association.
sitting here instead of you. He'd say that about you.
in here. And the circle continues.
So I
crazy.
gotta ask, how many more years you think you got left? I know you might not answer, but
KJ, honestly, I don't know. As long as I think I can do what I do, and and do it. I'm not gonna cheat the guys I'm coaching. I'm not gonna cheat the university. So I mean, I'm sure there'll be a day when I wake up and say I don't want to do this anymore. But I haven't come close to that yet.
famous host quote, I'm going to be here. That's you. Y'all not. You won't.
I tell you a funny recruiting story. So we're recruiting Javon Carter. And so we go in, and you guys know Leroy, his dad, what a great guy. And his brother was there, and there's four dudes there. And Coach Harrison and I were there, and we're sitting down. It was like a sunken living room kind of thing. And they were sitting up, and then they're sitting up there on stools, and we're sitting in the couch. It's you sink down in. So now I'm sitting there. I'm looking up at them, and I said, "How you want to do this?" And one of them said, "Coach, can we ask you questions?" I said, "Sure." This guy said, "I got one." He said, "What can you say to assure me that you're going to be there all 4 years? That my nephew is going to be there?"
That's a good question.
And I looked at Larry and I said, "Damn, this sumbitch thinks I'm going to die."
Are you
I
okay?
seen you, coach. You're not gonna make it next couple.
The way he's yelling,
the way he's yelling, he's not.
Well, see, the crazy thing was his son went to St. Louis to play for Rick Majerus, and Rick passed away of a heart attack.
How
So
ironic.
that was like his concern.
So you and Coach Harrison have been together for a long time.
Long time.
Talk about that experience, and I know he's been offered a couple of head coaching jobs. There's probably more of a question for him as to why he stuck around.
Well, I think he sticks around because, as you guys know, I give him a lot of reign, a lot of responsibility, or let him have a lot of responsibility. I'm not sure I give it to him. I think he takes it. It's another deal. But
Yeah, because those practices that you want there,
Oh my
things get
gosh.
out of control.
Oh my goodness.
Larry Harrison practices they might be worse than yours. I don't know.
well,
Couple fights break out.
Well, they
No
probably
punches
are.
landed.
Well,
Some of the good stuff there.
Larry is the consummate college coach. I mean, he's really involved in recruiting. He's recruiting it. He's involved in the community. He's really involved in the basketball part of it. His scouting reports, as you guys know, are more than thorough. And
Super detailed.
yeah, and I mean, he's the guy who walks out there without like John's got a note card. You ever see Coach have a note card? He never has a note card. He just goes out there and knows everything that the other team's going to do. And we've had a great working relationship over the years, and he went and was a head coach, and you never realize, man, what a head coach is until you're a head coach, because everything comes to you. I mean, you're just getting hit like every different direction all day until you kind of figure out how to manage that and delegate some things. It really is overwhelming, and the higher you go, I think the harder it is, to a degree, because you've got everybody wants to talk to you. They don't want to talk to the assistant. They want to talk to you, or they want to talk to the players. So it's a lot more than what people think, and Larry alleviates a lot of stuff from me, and Larry very willingly and likes to do that. So it's been a great relationship.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, like thinking about like a high level college basketball coach.
Outside.
Hailing out here. This is awesome. But a high level basketball coach, and in turn, it's like the owner of an NBA team, basically like that type of deal. He's a GM, he's the coach, he's like everything. He has to delegate absolutely everything that goes on in the program. So, and it's just like, and basically what they tell you to do is, oh, you're just here to coach. But at the same time, you have all these other responsibilities.
Yeah, but I think, and it's different. It's different everywhere. I mean, here, and it has been that way here for years. It's you're very involved in the fundraising aspect of it. You're very much involved in the community relations part of it. I did very little fundraising stuff at Cincinnati. I did probably a lot more community stuff. But every job's different. Every job's different, and that's why some guys are really successful at a place, and they hire somebody else, and they're not very successful. For that reason, they just it's different.
So do you think, even with all your years of experience in coaching and everything, do you think that there's still things that you're still learning, even at this stage in your career? Like, there's still things you feel like you could get better at as a coach?
Oh yeah, I think a lot of things. The game's changed. I was on a rules committee this year for the first year, and the things that they talk about, the step back has become, which you did really well. Well, they're saying it's a travel, and really, when you break it down in slow mo, it is a travel.
But what James Harden is doing is a travel.
No, it's different.
They have a thing where they break that shit.
Nah, that's a travel. Some of them are travel, some of them are not.
They have different rules, though. The NBA has different rules. That your first step doesn't count. So, like with us, you step here. Now, you step with your right foot, you make your left foot your pivot foot. So if you pick your pivot foot up, technically that's a travel.
Yeah, they used to call me for that a lot. All I did was a jab right and go left, and they call it travel.
Actually, you've traveled.
It wasn't a
for
travel.
years.
Hugs,
You still travel.
Nah, Hugs,
right
you
now.
should have got a tech or thrown out a game for me on that call, because they used to fuck me on that call.
It's hard, John. It's hard to argue with people who are right.
Can't win that battle.
Yeah, it's just,
Can't have your back.
I know
on
you
that.
walked. He knows you walked.
Glad to know Coach had my back.
Always.
Hugs, we gotta pay some bills. Now, Hugs, do you like fat bitches?
No,
You do?
no,
No?
no.
Oh, fat bitch is actually a sandwich down there at Sandwich University. You ever had?
I've never been there.
You never been there?
I've never been there.
Good place. You ever had it?
yeah, I had a couple fat bitches in my life.
Yeah, me too. I love them actually.
They need love too.
Cheesesteak, chicken tenders, bacon, mozzarella sticks, and the secret sauce all in one sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes, Sandwich U has been around since 2006. They're now franchising out, and they just opened a location in Hollywood on Melrose. So, Dave, when you move to Hollywood,
Oh, that's not how.
pursue your acting career.
Oh, thank you. I already got Sean Martini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to order, they do delivery. You can download the app, Sandwich University, the Sandwich University app, and go get you a fat bitch. They also have a sandwich called the Huggy Bear. It's pretty good.
That's got to be good. Yeah.
What
Very
do you know what's in?
Yeah, I want to know what's in
the
it.
Huggy- do you
That's
know what's in
exactly
the
what I want to
Huggy
know.
Bear?
Yeah, I do know what's in it.
I want to know.
He's googling what's in the Huggy Bear.
Not
Exactly.
Googling.
What's inside that sandwich?
The Huggy Bear is chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks, bacon, fries, and honey crack.
Honey
Honey
crack.
crack?
Definitely doesn't
That's the
sound
thing.
safe.
That is not a
That's the
thing.
thing. You ever heard of that, Ash?
No,
Honey crack is
Does not
a
sound
thing.
safe.
but I
pretty
love
good.
bacon.
It doesn't sound like
pretty
it's
good,
supposed
though.
to
Glad
be
you found
mixed
one
with
thing in
all
the sandwich.
other
Like,
stuff.
well, it's like I love bacon.
I love bacon. Who doesn't love bacon though?
I know.
I'm just curious as to what honey
I
crack
know
is.
when I was in school, I used to get fat bitches all the time.
Oh, we know.
Ain't that the truth?
after the club. So go right over.
Sunday.
Oh, we've
to
heard,
Sunday.
John.
Shout out to Sandwich University for sponsoring this
And
podcast.
sponsor what you were doing now.
I'm gonna go get me a fat
They were
bitch.
behind.
Go,
Behind you when you were doing this.
go get me one right after this podcast, actually.
Enjoying our show? Don't forget to leave a 5-star review for the Final Forecast on your podcast app. And be sure to tell a friend, or 2, or 3.
So yeah, Hugs, have you ever you played at WVU? Did you ever think about going to play professionally or after when you got done playing?
Yeah, I was like everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
They cut me.
So you went somewhere?
Yeah.
Where'd you go? You remember the country?
I went to the 76ers. Yeah. Played better than what I probably was capable of playing and made shots. And so I stayed the first cut, stayed the second cut. And when all the real guys came in, I was still there. And there were 3 of us. The number 1 pick, number 2 pick, and me. And day before the first game, John, trainer came in. His name was Al Domenico. They called him the Fonz because he looked like Henry Winkler, talked like him. He came in and said, "You MFers want to know who made it or who didn't make it." And those 2 guys, man, they both, kind of jumped up, said, "Man, just tell us who made it." He said, "None of you MFers," and he ran out. That's how I got cut.
From the trainer?
Yeah. So they were.
Did you whoop his ass?
They were kind of laughing. I'll tell you what I did, John. They were laughing and stuff, and then they realized he wasn't joking. Yeah. So they're running up and down the hall trying to find him, trying to find out who they need to talk to. I was gathering up all the gear.
I wear it too.
Oh, the 76ers.
I'm gonna leave here with something.
That's right.
Who was
Gathering up all the gear for mementos,
who would you compare your game to, that played at WVU?
I don't know.
You don't know.
What kind of player were you?
Were you
scrappy?
Were you about buckets?
Were you a scorer? What kind of player were you?
The man got thrown out of 50% of the
Yeah,
time.
that's true.
Yeah, he was scrappy.
I just want to see if it was like his coach.
Have
If it
y'all
was
ever
like his
seen-
coaching style. I never seen him play, so I don't know.
Oh, y'all never
never
seen
seen
film?
that.
Seen film.
I
Yeah.
had, if we would get the record book out here, I played with great players. Warren Baker was a great player. I mean, he's got, and he didn't play a whole lot his senior year. Maurice Robinson was a great player. Tony played in the league for 4 or 5 years, and what Tony did in 2 years, Tony was a JUCO guy. What he did in 2 years, and Russell Chapman was really talented. I mean, I played with Lowe's.
Yeah.
As I like to tell Lowe's watched me play.
Lowe's watching you play.
Yeah, Lowe's sit there and watch me play. But yeah, I mean, we had really good players. Junius was on that team, Junius Lewis, and so we had good players.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Is there a player? Oh, were you about
I
to
was
say
gonna. I
something?
was gonna ask
Oh, my
something.
bad. Go ahead.
Yeah.
She's been real quiet over here.
know.
Well, you guys this has been awesome. I'm just sitting back letting you guys do your thing. So
Let us
Ash is
know
on
you're
sex
listening.
therapist.
Follow us on
Literally.
Facebook,
She knows everything.
Instagram, and Twitter
She's really helped me out
at
a lot
Final
with my
Forecast,
relationship and all
or
that.
send us an
You're welcome.
email
Thank you. I
at
appreciate it.
finalforecast@gmail.com.
But I'm curious as to how nowadays, with social media and things like that, and guys, we talked about this before, putting out their highlight tapes and all that. How much has that changed recruiting now as opposed to in the past when you first started coaching?
That's a good question, Ash.
Oh, I think it's changed recruit. It hadn't changed mine because I don't pay attention.
I like that.
So you didn't look at a Jordan McCabe highlight tape?
Well, who's going to put a highlight tape out where they miss shots?
Exactly.
You ever seen anybody put a highlight tape out where they're all misses?
But some you can't ignore. Like,
Yeah.
so you look at them, but don't base your total.
John, I look
recruiting
at
on.
very, very few. Very, very few. Then, when guys come in here like for the first time, or we get some managers or whatever, like, Coach, you should see this guy here. I said, did he make them all? And they're like, yeah. I said, well, what did you think he was going to do? Send us a tape to do make them all?
So you can't judge anything from a highlight tape?
No.
Nothing?
No.
That's
No,
just-
I don't think so.
You have to watch the whole film to
Well,
see.
you have to see the game. You want to see, because I don't think anybody's ever been perfect.
Yeah.
If you get a tape where the guy made every shot, he probably sucks.
In the game.
And yeah, if
they're going to send their best game though.
Most of those dudes never had a best game.
So if all right, say I have a season. Now this can help me with my getting a job overseas, because most teams say, all right, send your best game and then send your worst game. So some games I shoot 20 for 20, 100% from the field. It's normal for me. You know what I mean?
I'd like to see that tape.
Don't exist.
So wouldn't the rest of
He's
the world?
creating it right now, actually, in his mind.
So what do you look for in those?
I don't.
In
I
the
don't.
game film, not the highlight tapes, the game film.
Well,
What do you
game
look
film,
for?
you get a feel of what they really do in a game, not what they want you to see, but it's also a level of competition too. If you're consistently driving in there and laying it in over top of guys, they're probably 6-foot white guys.
6 foot.
Shout out to the 6-foot white guys out there.
It's different if you watch where they go in and maybe they get one blocked and then they're able to go in and figure out a way to get it around or over the guy. I've never put any stock in highlight tapes. I didn't do it when I was really young.
Just out of curiosity, for people like me who don't know, how does that process work then? How do you find out about these kids?
We got more people selling scouting reports than what there are in some counties in West Virginia.
Holy cow!
You could spend your whole recruiting budget just buying scouting reports.
Whew.
So you look at those, but and I think John hit on it. I've been doing this for 41 or 42 years. Larry's been doing it for about 40 years. Ronnie's been doing it for probably 35 years anyways. Eric played for a long, long time, and so he's kind of wired into that generation, because and then he was a high school coach and the whole deal before I brought him in. So people know, and I grew up, played in Ohio. And my dad is a Hall of Famer in Ohio. He's probably, if he's not the most talked about high school coach in Ohio, is in the top 3. So my brother was a 3-year starter at Ohio State. So I'm pretty wired in Ohio. And so I got a lot of friends, a lot of contacts.
It's networking.
Yeah, and I've been doing this 40 years. I get still calls from guys in New York and guys in Jersey and guys in Philly and guys in DC.
So if I called and say, yo, I got a guy in DC for you, you would take a look at him?
No, what I'd probably do is get a tape first and then look at it and see if.
My uncle tried to send you a couple guys, didn't he? Yeah. You didn't look at them?
Yeah, no, we looked at them.
Are they here?
I think one went to Texas Tech.
Are they here?
It's not working out. I don't know if it's working out.
Could have been here. It's not working out.
You know what people don't, when you stop and think about it, 13 scholarships isn't very many. And you might have a year where you have 1 or 2. Well, if you have 1 or 2, you got to be really pretty selective and really narrow down to what your needs are, and that's what it comes down to, anyways. Yeah. You know,
So looking for a certain type of player.
If let's say next year, Derek, Oscar, and Logan Rout are all back, we wouldn't be looking for a big. Why would we be looking for a big?
Don't you take the best available player?
No. What are you going to play with, all big guys?
Somebody got to sit on the bench.
You got to build a team, man.
If it's working,
you
why
got
mess
to
it up,
build a
man?
team.
When you play fantasy, do you always take the best player?
Yeah.
You just have a jam-packed roster of
Full wings out there. I
You
would
sound
have
ridiculous.
John just says stuff.
Kobe.
Just says stuff,
Yeah.
exactly. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have a
said that.
roster with Kobe, LeBron, Melo, T-Mac, and another.
If I had
No.
LeBron, I wouldn't ask Carmelo
What?
Anthony
Who's
to do
going to be the
anything.
point guard?
Any of them can
I don't
run.
have to.
LeBron run point.
Listen, if I have LeBron James, I don't need Carmelo to do anything.
John's never
LeBron
going to be a
James.
coach.
Yeah, we
Well,
forget.
Hugs also asked me behind the scenes if I wanted to be assistant coach one day, but I was
What
like,
scene
nah.
was this? What
Turn me
movie?
down.
Yeah,
What scene in what movie is it?
He offered me.
Delete a scene.
He offered me.
That was funny.
He offered me $10.2 million to be a coach. I said no. You know, I'm still playing.
So,
You're doing well. This podcast is making you a lot of money.
oh my God.
Big Flow ENT is
Thriving,
through the roof
apparently.
right now.
That's what I love about John. You know, John got all you guys doing all this stuff, and John just smiling, walking around,
Just collecting. Just collecting.
pocket full of money,
Terrible
happy.
person.
I'm broke. I'm broke, baby.
Full of money.
Hey,
Tell
Coach,
you
There you
what.
go.
do you think it's easier for you to like look at a player on tape, or do you have to see that player in person, or both?
I'd rather see him in person.
Rather see him in person. Why is that? Does you can see different things when you see that player in person, or
It's different watching it on tape, I think, than watching it live. You ever watch a tape of another team where you really thought they really looked good? I mean, most of the time you're like, because you can see all their warts and you can run it back, and I'd rather do it. That's why, you know, we're in a time now where we're trying to limit a lot of the AAU stuff, but the good AAU stuff is really valuable to watch. I mean, you guys played in the things that were good, not the ones where people are trying to make money off of. And I think that's really valuable. You know, everybody's like, well, can we go back to evaluating high school? Well, let's say, you know, KJ, you're at some, I don't know, you know, smaller high school, and we go to watch you play, and first of all, the guy guarding you is 6'1", and then secondly, you pick up 2 fouls, and the coach takes you out, and we don't get to see you play at all.
Happened to Wellington when we played him in high school.
You killed him. Shout out to Wallace.
Shout out to Wellington Smith, friend of the show.
That happened to me though. Like Gary Williams came to Maryland. Came to watch one of my games. Gary Williams from Maryland. Yeah,
we know.
He came to one of my games in high school, and I was just nervous just because he was in the stands. You don't think you make players nervous just from your presence in the stands, and then they could just have a bad game that you're there?
I think I make my own players nervous sometimes.
You definitely made me nervous. I had a couple of rules. You want to run down these list of rules I had freshman through junior year?
I don't even remember them, John, to be honest.
Well, don't shoot under 5 seconds.
No, that
Until
wasn't
under
it.
5 seconds.
They don't shoot threes under five. It was at the shot clock, more or less.
Past the Deshaun was a rule.
That wasn't a rule until you started shooting threes.
I'm sensing a
That was
trend.
implemented after.
Don't dribble.
You want me to tell you what I remember the most?
Yeah, what do you remember?
We were playing at Ole Miss, and the clock's running down,
Good story.
Great story.
and John jumps up and hits a three, basically to win the game. They got the ball back, but lost it out of bounds. And Andy Kennedy, who's a very dear friend of mine and was my assistant, he went in and they asked him about John making the shot, and he said, well, hey, come on, I work for the guy. That's why he's a Hall of Fame coach. He said, who in the hell would have ever thought that Flowers would shoot?
Shout out to AK.
He knew that everybody else knew that Flowers wasn't going to shoot, and that's why he told him to shoot.
That's funny.
Shout out to Andy. But yeah, I did used to remember that. Like every once in a while, I would catch the ball by the bench, and you would be like, "Shoot it in, shoot it," and that would just give me a bunch of confidence, and then I would knock it down, and then the next play come down, shoot an air ball, and then you cuss me out on the bench.
No, let's be honest. When you got here, you couldn't shoot a lick, and you got better. To your credit, no, I mean seriously. To your credit, you got better and better and better and better.
I mean, I think it's
Night
somewhat
and
of a
day.
Hugs effect, though. I think I just realized like we had scorers on the team. I didn't need to shoot the ball. If we had Joe Alexander, Deshaun Butler, Kevin Jones, Devin Ebanks.
Yeah, and what did we score in the first half against Villanova? Dave, what did we have? Like
15, I think.
we had 15.
Yeah.
You should have let me shoot, Hugs. I don't know what to tell you.
Then we would have had 12.
That's all. That's all. That's it. Good job, John. Way to help us out.
But
Idiot.
back to the highlight tapes, though. Like
An idiot.
one of my favorite quotes from Hugs is, "You could take a piece of shit, you could dip it in gold, put diamonds on it, shine it up, polish it.
Still.
You know what you got at the end of the day? A piece of shit.
I was just telling
That's what you are, John."
You know who told me that, John?
Who?
It was an official.
What's the
It was an
context?
official. He officiated when I played here. He officiated a lot, and he knew my roommate's father real well. And we're playing at. I can tell you where it was. We're playing at Steubenville College, and I was at Walsh my first year, and we weren't very good. And I'm bitching, about this call and that call, and he blew the whistle, walked over, and that's what he told me.
So he was calling your team a piece of shit.
Yeah,
such a nice guy.
yeah, but I mean, basically, yeah, he was.
Man.
He's a good referee, obviously.
Yikes.
Then he said, "Listen, I still do a couple high school games. My son's doing a lot of high school games. We'll get in touch with you if we see somebody that can really help you."
I think the context you used it with us was, I think you kicked like Cincinnati out of their locker room when they were playing bad, and like you didn't give them any team gear or anything. And I think when you first got here, we got like Nike Elite. That's when Nike came. And he was like, "You guys don't deserve it."
Well, I did one time. I kicked them out of the locker room. They took all their gear away.
Playing shirts and skins.
Took their shoes away. Yeah, we're playing shirts and skins.
Wow.
We won 3 in a row, and Logan came up and said, "Coach, can we get our shit back now?"
I just knew anytime I saw you come in the film room with glasses on that you're getting ready to read off some stats.
He's about to violate somebody.
Time to get red.
I got a couple stats for you guys.
He does this as glasses.
They used to
John shooting 22% from 3. Devin shooting 18% from 3. I think you guys had a fucking enough. No more fucking threes.
Billy, you ever see him out there working on the shot? You ever see him out there? Doesn't work on it.
You seen him, Billy? No Hugs. I have not seen him. Coach Hahn, he answered every question, catered to the direction of where it was going. It was perfect. He's like, Billy, did you see that guy out there? Yeah, I saw him. Like, no, you didn't.
The best thing was, and at halftime of the game that we were playing bad, and the water bottle comes in the locker room first.
Oh, man.
I perfected putting the towel over my face and
the water bottle enters the room first, and you know it's just going to be downhill from there.
Fastball.
What?
Fastball.
Cam, you shut up. He'll call 90 fucking pounds on you. You go out there and apologize. Cam went out there and said sorry like 8 times to Higgins. It was awesome. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry.
It was a lot better when you had 15 guys, though.
What do you mean?
It's a lot better when we had 15 guys. I mean, it was more competitive in practice. I mean, you look like with us right now. I mean, yesterday we got 9 guys.
You got 3 bigs, and it's tough to even get them reps with each other. Sometimes
Wait, so do we?
Guys are going.
You have more scholarships?
No, well, we only have 11 guys on scholarship, but
a couple guys are out.
No, we just didn't. We just couldn't find the right people.
Well, I would have practiced, Coach.
Doing the John Beeline thing, you know, waiting until somebody like decides they don't want to be where they are and take them. That's never worked for me. It always worked for him.
What do you guys think about that?
What do you think?
I didn't play for.
But you were recruited though.
I was a Huggins guy.
You were recruited.
Nope.
No, actually you weren't.
This is the end of part 1 of our interview with Coach Bob Huggins. Make sure you're subscribed to get part 2 the second it's released.